Ladies and gentlemen, we have brand new bowling balls that were just announced today. The date is April 29th. We had 3 new brands of Brunswick bowling balls that were just recently announced. We have the Hammer Hazmat Pearl, the DV8 Hater Pearl, and the Ebonite Turbo X. A lot of interesting ones in that list. Brunswick actually toned it down a little bit with how many releases they've had in the last couple drops. So very, very cool to see. I'm honestly a lot more excited about this drop than the previous bowling balls that came out. That was the Cypher Pearl, the Rally, and the Crown Victory. I think these are a step above, and I'm going to talk about why. Plus, we have some really cool comparisons that you're not going to see on any other channel with these 3 bowling balls. So if you enjoy what we do here, if you like to stay up to date on the latest bowling ball news, bowling discontinued lists, anything like that, make sure to drop a sub. It really helps me out a ton. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers right now. Please help us reach that. We are currently the fastest growing bowling channel. Any help would be really, really appreciated. But let's go into first the Hammer Hazmat Pearl. So we just had the Hazmat Solid get discontinued a little while ago, so there were no Hazmats. I thought the line was dead. However, they now dropped the Hazmat Pearl. The Hazmat Solid only had like a 7-month lifespan, so I was very surprised to see this one actually get announced. So looking at this one, introducing the Hammer Hazmat Pearl, take the Hammer line to the next level, yeah. Wrapped in the Semtex Pearl cover stock with HK22, glides effortlessly through the front part of the lane, all the other garbage. Okay, really, I mean, marketing mumbo jumbo, we're going to skip that. What the meat of this is that it has Semtex Pearl cover stock, which is about a middle of the road cover stock most of the time for Brunswick. However, it's going to have that hazmat core that we all know. So if you didn't know, I'll zoom in just a little bit here. 15 pounds, this has a 2.48 RG and 0.55 differential. So it's a stronger symmetrical core, one of the stronger symmetrical cores on the market. I really see it similar to an Optimum Idol core or like a slightly beefier Phase 2 core. The Hazmat Solid was pretty much right around where the Phase 2 Optimum Idol GB5 all kind of rested as a stronger symmetrical solid bowling ball. So this one is really going to fit similar there. However, the cover stock is HK22 Semtex Pearl, like we mentioned. This is a cover stock that Hammer loves, absolutely loves. So if we look up HK22 Semtex Pearl cover, we are going to have a fantastic site from bowl.com. Semtex. Let's see what we have. Semtex Pearl, as you can see, has been on so many things. Black Widow Gold, a lot of Black Widows in the day. HK22 Semtex Hybrid was on the Hazmat. So this is pretty much just the Pearl version of the other Hazmats that we've had. This cover stock is actually on the Scorpion Strike. That's the coolest thing about this. This is the Scorpion Strike cover stock, which I think is one of the best Pearl balls of 2024. So really what you should expect from this is going to be an earlier and a little bit sharper Scorpion Strike. This is going to hook earlier and be a little bit quicker. So if you're somebody who really likes the Scorpion Strike and wants something just slightly different, but you don't want to go to like an Effect or a Black Widow Mania or something, this is going to be a really good option for you. Plus, the colorway is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. This blue and light blue and white is beautiful. This is one of the best looking balls of the year. Probably like top 5, top 10 best looking balls of the year. So overall, this one's really cool. This one has the interest the most for me. I'm tempted to grab this one myself. This one looks great. The Hazmat core has always been really good. The Hazmats have been great. It just got slept on a little bit too much because you had so many good, symmetrical, smooth bowling balls out at the time. Now, the other thing we want to look at is the price. Now, Bowlers Mart is really letting us down right now. They have not actually posted the prices, which is surprising. They haven't for the last couple Brunswick releases until a couple days later. But Buddy's Pro Shop, shout out Buddy's Pro Shop. They have some awesome deals right now. Not paid advertisement at all. I know nobody from Buddy's. They're just an awesome website. Hazmat Pearl, expected is $170. So it's releasing on May 15th. This is the day before the Origin EX drops, but it's going to be $170. A little pricey for what the ball is, a little bit expensive. I was hoping for about $160, but that is where the Hazmat Pearl is. So this is the first bowling ball on the list. Let's transition over to bowling ball number 2, and that is going to be the Hater Pearl. The Hater series is coming back, surprisingly. The DV8 Hater recently also got discontinued, and they said, nah, let's slap a Pearl cover stock on this guy. I personally thought we'd see a Heckler Pearl before a Hater Pearl. Brunswick had an interesting notion on these releases. They're dropping bowling balls that recently have been discontinued. So Hazmat and the Hater, both of those lines were discontinued completely, and then they bring back another version instead of having both at the same time. So instead of having the Hater and the Hater Pearl out at the same time, you can't buy the Hater anymore. You can find it in certain websites, but it's limited quantity. Same with the Hazmat Solid. Now they're cheaper, which is great if you want to compare, but a little bit interesting idea. This is something very different from what Motive and Storm do. Brunswick drops the ball and then releases a different iteration or one with a different cover. Very, very odd, but it's different. So if you like that, that's awesome. But we have the Hater Pearl. So this one looks like it's more of a gray and black with the pink cover or the pink logo on it. Looks really good. Anyone who didn't know the DV8 Hater, it was a stronger hybrid bowling ball. This is one of the first two-handed bowling balls or no-thumb bowling balls, where the core of it was made so that you can pop the fingers into it, and then you don't have a problem. You're not actually taking stuff out of the core was their main idea, but you don't have a thumb. Now, this still rolls really good for one-handers at the end of the day. All the two-handed equipment rolls great for one-handers. We have a 2.54 RG, insanely high for an asymmetrical ball. So the ball is going to hook very, very late. We have a pretty okay differential and a really high intermediate differential. So what this ball is going to do, it's going to get really far down lane, but it's going to go completely sideways once it starts hooking. This is going to be a skid snap ball at the end of the day. Very much a skid snap, but stronger bowling ball. I'm really seeing Criterion Hybrid out of this guy is going to be the similarity for balls on the market today. Now, if we look at what it is HK22C Havoc Pearl. Havoc Pearl is a cover stock that DV8 really loves. The latest bowling ball with Havoc Pearl and HK22C was the Violent Collision. So if you really like the Violent Collision, this is going to be not the same ball. It's a slightly different cover stock. It's going to hook a bit later than that Violent. The Violent hooks super early. This is going to hook later, but be a heck of a lot sharper. So if you liked the Violent Collision and you want a similar cover stock, this is going to be a really good play for you. This is going to be skid snap machine though. We do have another info sheet with the Hater Pearl. These are all 5 bowling balls that DV8 has out on the market today. So we have the Heckler as the strongest bowling ball. We have the Troublemaker Solid as the next strongest but smoother. We have the Hater Pearl up here in more of the skid flippy end, but weaker than the Troublemaker Solid. I thought the Hater Pearl would be a little further to the right, but it looks like they expect this ball to be a little bit weaker. That's a-okay. Makes sense. The RG is super high. Completely understandable. This ball will be very, very interesting. The one unfortunate piece, it's $190. I was really hoping for a little bit cheaper. I don't know if the OG Hater was this expensive or if we're seeing the tariffs kick in. I'm not entirely positive. Someone let me know in the comments what the original Hater was. I couldn't find the OG price. I could find the sales price, and this ball, the original Hater, dirt cheap right now. But this ball is expected to release also May 15th, $190, makes it a little pricey for what it is. Now, I was really hoping it'd be cheaper, but that is the way it is. Hater Pearl coming out May 15th, $190, should be a skid flip machine, but a pretty strong asim at the end of the day. If you like the original Hater, I'd recommend checking this one out. This is going to be one of the first, I think the second Pearl ball for the two-handed lineup or the no-thumb lineup. The first was the Troublemaker Pearl. This is number 2. Now, that is the Hater Pearl. Let's move on to the final bowling ball. This one's weird. This is the Turbo. The Turbo series is back by popular demand. I don't really know. The Turbo X, bold leap forward while looking at the past. Keeps the original core shape, but then adds a little bit extra oomph to it. Fuse the GB 10.7 solid cover stock. I'm going to get into what that cover stock is on in just a second. But it's a piece of bowling history redefined. Ebonite is now taking a page out of Columbia 300's book and making a remake bowling ball. Very interesting. The Turbo series has been, for anyone who doesn't know, was a very weak ball for in like 2017. There was a Turbo series that got released. I believe it was the Turbo R with a lot of colorways. But then this is a ball that was made in the 90s. It was a urethane bowling ball. I think 92 is when it released, is what I could find on it. But this is just, it's not actually the Turbo. But the one thing Brunswick is really good at, they're good at remaking those ball shapes, like the Rhino series or all of the Columbia 300 old balls, Piranha and Messenger and all those. They're really good at remaking that ball shape in today's game. So I'd expect this to roll kind of similar to the old Turbos, but of course it's not the same. This is 30 years later, so it's going to roll way different. But it should have some similarities. Now, the cool things when we look at the spec sheet, We have HK22 GB 10.7 solid. That cover stock last was on the Game Breaker 2, the remake of the GB2 back in about 2022-ish. So the Game Breaker series always has, of course, a GB cover stock on it. I think we're up to like 13 or 14 now with the GB5s. However, 10.7 was used back on the GB2. This was a pretty weak, solid cover stock. Pretty weak at the end of the day. The remake of the Game Breaker 2 wasn't that close to the original Game Breaker 2, but it was close-ish. It was close-ish. Now, the core of it has a 2.52 RG, a little bit on the high side, differential of 0.40, a little bit on the low side. This is very similar to things like the Storm Typhoon or the Max Thrill series from Motive. This is definitely going to be a weak bowling ball, probably weak and smooth is my guess because of the solid cover stock. I imagine it to be a beefier Teal Rhino Pro, if you guys remember that ball. You had the Teal Rhino Pro, you know that ball was really weak. This is going to be a step up from that. So this is going to be the first weak and smooth bowling ball we've seen from Brunswick since the Arctic Vibe. It's been so long since we've seen a ball like this. Very excited to see this one actually come out. I'm curious what it'll do or what it'll be good on, but having another weak and smooth bowling ball, I will never complain. Now, it is just that throwback, so if you're somebody who had the old Turbo and you really want to throw it again, here's your chance. It's honestly not that cheap, or sorry, not that expensive. It's $145 right now. Again, pricier than I expected, but really not that bad for what it is. I could see it being down to like 130 or close to the Max Thrills, but this is still going to be a little bit pricier than those Max Thrills, kind of similar to the Typhoon, but $145 is what it is retailing at right now. Very, very interesting bowling ball, remake with a little bit of a twist. I'm glad to see Ebonite producing a weaker end bowling ball. Right now, they do have the Fireball, so they honestly have a pretty good lineup, pretty well-rounded lineup. They have the one Reverb and the Crusher Hybrid as their shiny, strong options. Game Breaker 5 as their bigger, smooth option. Game Breaker 5 Pearl and GB4 Hybrid as some middle-of-the-road options with that real-time, which is still being slept on, by the way. That ball's amazing. Then we have the Fireball and then the Turbo X as their low-end bowling ball. So Ebonite is making a pretty cool lineup right now. DV8 has a pretty good lineup right now. And of course, Hammer is absolutely goated with the bowling balls that they have at this point. Let's actually zoom out a little bit so you can see they have so many bowling balls, man. They have so many good bowling balls out right now. So having the Hazmat Pearl in here is going to be interesting too. I hope we don't lose the Scorpion Strike with the Hazmat Pearl. The Hater Pearl, I don't expect this to really take the place of anything. This is just going to be a brand new skid flip, shiny and sharp, strong, sharp option for us. The Hazmat Pearl should be a medium sharp option in our categorical scale. And then we see the Turbo X as the weak and smooth option, as we mentioned. Those are the three bowling balls, though, coming out from Brunswick Bowling. Let me know what you think of these, if you're planning on picking them up or if you're going to be skipping them. We're going to have more reviews coming on some of our other socials, so make sure to follow us on all platforms. Also, we do have new bowling chamois. If you want to go check out our chamois, dhlab3d.com. We have a green and blue colorway, so if you want to go pick up a chamois for pretty cheap, after shipping, it's about $24. I'd really appreciate it. Shoot me a message if you do end up purchasing one. Otherwise, that is going to be it. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you on the next one.